welcome. It's a very special show with a very special person. Today, I welcome someone who really needs no introduction. He's an inspiration to many and teaches us the values of life by being an example himself. He leads a simple and spiritual life, a life filled with an attitude of gratitude. His words have the power to heal the world. Namaskaram, Sadhguru. At the
Namaskaram.
outset, let me thank you for sparing out our time and speaking with us. It's my absolute pleasure to speak to you, sir.
Namaskaram, Swati.
We learn so much from you all the time about life and one's journey. But today I like to talk to you about life of an automobile enthusiast. And I see that, you love riding. And I had participated in Rally for Rivers, by the way, in the Mumbai leg. I had the fortune to ride alongside. But I want to know how and when did this love for automobile began or start for you, Sadhguru?
My love is not just for the automobile, anything that works well, I'm interested. My basic interest is the human mechanism, and automobile, I see it as an extension. Well, I started riding when I was 11 years of age, scooters. Yes. When I turned 18, within a month I got my license. And I crisscrossed India on my motorcycle. But those days, the fastest thing on the road at that time was our SD Road King 250cc single cylinder, two-stroke engine. Later on, we kind of graduated to that 350cc RD, which the Escorts people did with the Yamaha collaborations. But compared to that, what we are riding today is another world of technology and capability. So, I had not sat on a motorcycle, nor even thought about it for 28 years or so. So only during Rally for Rivers, somebody brought this Ducati Scrambler and said, Sadhguru, you should ride in Bangalore. I was wondering, can I ride? It's been 28 years, I had not even thought motorcycles. So I sat on it and then I realized I haven't lost a day. So since then, I've been having trouble getting into cars. I've been continuously on motorcycles because now people see my interest in motorcycles. Right now, there's a whole array of motorcycles parked here. People have left their motorcycles here for me. A whole range of choices. I'm riding one after another. They will be here as long as I'm here, and I hope they'll take it after I'm gone.
Well, how many bikes do you own, Sadhguru? I mean, we see you have a great taste in biking, the kind of motorcycles that you're riding.
I don't own anything. Fortunately, there are people that I know who own good motorcycles. Right now here, I have a choice of 4 or 5. One is I have a MV Agusta 800cc. I have a BMW XR 1000cc, which is a powerful motorcycle. I've been… last 4 or 5 years, somebody brings a GS, which is a 2013 model, that is a 1200, now they made it 1260, I think. Then there is a GT, 1600 GT, which I rode on this trip. So in India, there is a whole range of choices that people are bringing every time they want me to ride their motorcycle. I think, because I'm never in any place for too long, I've been traveling so much. So wherever I go, somebody's bringing on a motorcycle, generally the good ones, and I have my choice of riding. I don't ride those big, metal heaps, which are fashionable in America. I look for good technology and riding capabilities. So here I am.
Okay, so good technology, riding capabilities, that is something you look out for in motorcycles. Which amongst the ones that you've ridden so far is your favorite? I mean, do you have your favorites in this, and any specific bike that you are really looking forward to ride?
Well, I normally prefer adventure motorcycles where the CG is higher up. I like that kind of thing because I tend to go off-road very easily. But on this trip, I took the GT, 1600 GT, which is an inline six, and very beautiful on the highway, but terrible, absolutely terrible off-road. Once there is no paved surface, it is a torture to ride that. Plus, I've always been used to riding motorcycles with telescopic suspensions. So these are not telescopic suspensions, so there's no feedback when you're riding, which was a little disconcerting in the beginning, but as the engine, I think for an inline engine, absolutely no vibrations, no nothing, and beyond 6,500 RPM, it's a bomb.
Wow. So you are so technically sound, Sadhguru. I mean, you really are testing these mean machines and giving great reviews, I must say. But Will Smith seemed clearly very worried. You touring a massive BMW K1600T, which you just GT that you mentioned. Um, what did you tell him? I mean, people are really concerned.
About concern about what?
The massive bike that you ride, and
Well, I don't carry it, I ride it, so they shouldn't be worried about that. I don't carry the motorcycle.
good one,
Well,
really.
because for the kind of distances we did, like in a day, many times we did over 700 miles. So sometimes we rode 12, 14 hours a day through the night. So for that kind of riding, a smaller motorcycle wouldn't do, and especially in United States, which I discovered only this time. I've ridden, but never such long distances in US. I discovered the wind force is a major challenge which we never face in India, this kind of wind, where wind is gusting around 55 to 65 miles per hour. Even this 350 kilogram motorcycle with me, it's 425 kilograms, but you can't just hold it on the road, it's just going away. Especially when you pass the trucks and things like that. It's just lifting off literally. So, without a heavy machine, you can't really stay on these roads. As a backup, we had taken a lighter motorcycle just in case if something goes wrong, because there were three motorcycles riding. For this, we took a spare motorcycle, one, so that in case something happens. But those were light motorcycles. I'm glad that we didn't have to ride them, because in that wind, it would be simply impossible to hold them on the road.
So you do need heavy bikes, and that is actually coming handy as you're talking
Mhm.
about it. Sadhguru, tell us, about this exploring spiritual America. What was the idea behind this? I mean, how did this occur to you, and what is the purpose of this?
Well, this is almost 18 years ago. I was very profoundly touched by a certain situation that I saw, which is a little hard for automobile enthusiasts of yours to digest. It's another dimension of life, a kind of a frozen being from Native American culture, in such pain, in such suffering, resentment, anger, extreme pain. Probably that was one of the most painful moments in my life when I touched this being. So ever since I've been trying to explore and trying to understand what is this culture. It's only then in the last few years I discovered that there have been over 500 Native American nations in United States alone. Most people think Native Americans means what they see in the Wild West movies. Not like that. 500 separate nations, evolved cultures, their own cities, their own spiritual processes and everything. Since then, I've been looking at it, but my schedules never allowed me to really take off. And I also set up our center here near Chattanooga in Tennessee, at the head of what is called as Trail of Tears, where the Cherokee people moved from here to Oklahoma. It's one tragic story. It's called Trail of Tears. So, what drew me to this place is naturally it is a very beautiful place, but it is also the pain of these people that drew me here. We set up this center, it's already 12, 13 years old now. And this has been on my mind. It's only now because of the pandemic, because other schedules have been all put on hold or cancelled. So we undertook this journey touching various Native American nations. It's been fantastic meeting these people, and it is also relevant for today's world that these are people who did not uh, handle ecological concerns like some kind of textbook science. Ecology lives in their hearts. I think that's what needs to happen to our generation and the next generations to come if we want to turn something around, because textbook science is not going to make the difference. It has to live in our hearts, then only it will happen.
Wow, what a wonderful thought! And truly, I think it's great to know from you what you're experiencing, and you're telling our audience as well. I wanted to understand from you so far. the distance and the destinations that you've covered on a two-wheeler, long, how were they in terms of the challenges that you saw? I'm sure they're quite thrilling, as you said, but they must be equally tiring. It does need a lot of deep passion and commitment to ride, as you said, 12 hours, 14 hours a day. What do you enjoy the most while you ride, Sadhguru?
Well, for me, even during my early, early riding, what I did for about 4.5 years, literally I lived on a motorcycle. I crisscrossed India many times. Even then, I was not going anywhere in particular. For me, it is always the terrain. Paying attention to the terrain was the most important part of riding. And also, the nature of the motorcycle itself is such, without attention, you won't live unless your attention is keen and consistent. You won't live to be an old motorcyclist, all right? You may be very bold, but you will not be old. So, it's the… my life is like this, my spiritual process means this, yoga means this, that it's an incessant, relentless attention to life. So, in that sense, motorcycling is naturally demands that. Without that, it will not work. So, especially if you are riding long and if you're at a certain speed, then naturally you have to be super attentive, otherwise it won't work. What someone on four wheels notice when they're driving and what a motorcyclist notice is 10 times more, because every small little undulation in the road, every crack in this thing, everything you have to notice. It is not like you're trying to notice, it's just that you develop that sense of noticing everything. I think for me the biggest thing is attention, because my life is about that.
All right, attention, and I totally agree with the amount of attention that one needs to pay, and that is something that comes naturally to a good motorcycle enthusiast. I want to also know, as you said, spiritual connection between riding and oneself. How do you define that connection, Sadhguru?
Well, as I told you, spirituality means a deeper attention to life. Spirituality does not mean a philosophy or an ideology or a belief system or reciting a scripture. Spiritual process means your attention to life is such that you have experienced or realized deeper dimensions of your life. That will only happen with immense attention. Without that, it wouldn't happen. In that sense, for me, doing anything, not just for me, for anybody, doing anything well needs attention. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Whatever you do, if you want to raise the bar to a certain pitch, then you need attention. I think motorcycling also demands that. People keep thinking, I love motorcycles. No, I love everything. It's just that to travel, you can either travel on four wheels or two wheels, it's a choice.
Look, coming to that, I'm told and I'm asked by a lot of people to ask you, your love for motorcycles or two wheels is evident. What about cars? Do you like them or no? And if yes,
Well,
which one?
I've driven all over the world in almost every country that I've been to, I've driven.
See,
Uh, Generally because I always have a tendency, if I see something beautiful, I tend to go off-road. So I don't drive those low-slung racing type of cars except a few times on the track. I always choose something which has more clearance, that means a four-wheel drive, something which is little… takes rough terrain, because I'm not somebody who's restricted to roads. That's why I like adventure motorcycles and four-wheel drives, because I tend to go off.
what's your next target, Sadhguru? What are you aiming as a motorcycle enthusiast? Any stretch anywhere in the world that you'd like to do? Since you've done or you're doing this exploring spiritual America, what next?
Right now, the next thing is today afternoon, I'm planning to ride to the golf course.
That is the
I've
next
in,
thing.
I've invites from Central Asia to ride in their countries. Many of them are inviting me. I don't know if I will do it, but we were thinking of doing Tibet, because every year I've been trekking there for last 14, 15 years. But this year we have not done that because of, the situation, the geopolitical situation doesn't allow that right now.
Mm.
So, we were thinking of riding in Tibet, but what I saw was when I was riding Wyoming, Utah, Montana, the terrain is just like Tibet, almost. I'm almost identical. So we've done that, I don't know, people have been inviting me to, like way back, many years ago, I've seen this thing about Motorcycle Diaries by Che. And at that time, we were thinking of riding South America, which I never did, which is an attraction, but you may get killed for the motorcycle there. So if the South American volunteers ensure that uh, we are safe out there, we may ride. That would be an interesting terrain to ride. Central Asia is an interesting terrain to ride because I don't know, before I'm not good enough to ride, I would like to ride some
I'm
parts of
sure
the certain continents.
you'll do as many, and as you are doing this amazing big one, exploring spiritual America, as you call it. Quick last couple of questions, that Guru. One, of course, since you are touring all over the world, I'd like to get a message from you for the young motorcycle enthusiasts. There are lots of that breed that's coming up, but there are certain things that they have to keep in mind. We all talk about safety, surely, but what is it that you would want to tell them? Through
You
you,
know,
I would like.
when I was riding for Kaveri Calling, I don't know if you heard about this. For Kaveri Calling, we rode from Talakaveri, which is the starting point, to the Delta and to Chennai and back to Coimbatore, which was just over, I think, maybe around 3,600 or 700 kilometers. But it took 17 days because there were lots of meetings and campaign on the way going on. So about 18 motorcyclists rode with me at that time. And some of them were asking me, Sadhguru, when you're riding, what are you thinking? I said, who said I'm thinking anything? I don't think anything. I just ride. Because for me, the greatest joy is attention, as I said. And this is something that humanity has lost. They think their thought is bigger than their attention. This is a very unfortunate reality. Your thought is just being made up or recycling of what you already know. It's attention with which you imbibe and perceive life in a much deeper way. So all I would say is attention. If you have enough attention, naturally there is balance within you. When you're riding, above all balance, that goes for every aspect of life. Whatever capabilities you may have, however good you may be with something, if you don't have balance, all that will go waste. I think a whole lot of human intelligence, human genius, human competence is right now being squandered simply because we have not brought up our children in a balanced manner. They don't have balance. Once there is no balance, whatever you have, everything will go waste. Well, they were asking me, Sadhguru, if there's one rule that we should follow when we are riding, I said, only one rule I followed is never collide with anything.
Never could.
Don't hit anything, that's it. If you have to fall, if you have to slide, do whatever, but never collide with anything because that's the end of a motorcyclist.
Finally, Sadhguru, these are tough times for everyone across the world. The health concerns, the pandemic is creating a lot of stress for everyone. How could one become more disciplined about health? Could you give some piece of advice that all of us, all across the world, should at least start taking care of our health, and handle this stress better?
Say, when you say handle this stress better, you are assuming stress is a part of your life and then you have to deal with it. There's no such thing. Stress is not because of the situations we are in. Stress is because you do not know how to manage your own mind, your thought, your emotion, your energies. You do not know how to manage yourself. That is stress, not because of the situation. Before the pandemic, people were stressed about their work. Now they're stressed that there is no work. This is going on at all levels, all right? If they are poor, they're stressed about their poverty. If they're rich, they're stressed about the taxes. If they're not married, they're stressed about that. If they get married, all the stress that they go through. This is an endless cycle. we need to understand it is not about the situation. Yes, there is a challenging situation. I was just talking to one of the top CEOs in India and I said, I wanted to know how the industrial situation is going, are they recovering, what is happening, it's a major industry. So I asked, what's happening? He said, Sadhguru, as the saying goes, never waste a crisis. So we are not wasting it, and he told me 100 different things they are doing. That's what you should do. This is a time when you have little time, you must enhance your body. That means physical fitness should become better. Let everybody focus on this in the next month. All these motorcyclists who listen to you, 10% fitter physically, 10% mentally sharper, 10% emotionally more balanced, 10% more competent, at least in the riding. There are ways to do this. In a month's time, you can do this. Believe me, if you're 10% better in everything, we have a fantastic world. Please make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Namaskaram,
Thank you.
Sadhguru. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, sir.
It was lovely speaking with you, and all the very good luck and best wishes for your journey, sir. And we look forward to speaking to you again.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskaram.